Digital Marketing Radio, episode 133. What social media management tools should you be using?
DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Aweber. Build your email list, engage your subscribers, do email the right way. I've arranged a special deal for all Digital Marketing Radio listeners, and that's a 60-day free trial with the email marketing software provider I use, Aweber. Lock in your 60-day free trial, plus view a video that I've recorded on the 3 reasons why I use their service at aweber.com/DMR. Just go to aweber.com/DMR to get started today.
The big interview with David Bain.
I'm David Bain, and this is Digital Marketing Radio, weekly interviews with online marketing gurus. Catch up with all the previous episodes at digitalmarketingradio.com. I'm joined today by a man who specializes in social media tools and systems to turbo boost your productivity and efficiency. He's a speaker, trainer, consultant, web developer, and founder of Seriously Social. Welcome to DMR, Ian Anderson Gray.
Thanks, David. It's great to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Well, you can find Ian over at iag.me. So, Ian, what's it like to have a .me domain?
Well, yeah, it's fun. It's kind of more of a kind of personal side. Gives it a more of a personal side of things, I think. So, and I mean, all the .coms have gone anyway. So,
well, when did they launch again? .me's.
It's a good point. Probably, I'm guessing around 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, it's a country domain. I can't remember which country it is, but all of these have got different countries. So, but it's a lot of people using it just as a more of a personal sounding domain, and that was really why I set up Seriously Social.
Oh, right, okay. I saw you started on Twitter in your notes on your website in November 2006. I was on there in 2007, April 2007, actually. So just after you for that. But I've got the name, my name David Bain on Twitter, and also the .co.uk. I couldn't get the .com though. That was a bit of a challenge to get.
Oh, it's hard, isn't it? Yeah, I started off actually with a completely different Twitter handle back then. I mean, I trained as a singer, so I had. I still got it. Baritone UK is my original Twitter handle. And then I wanted to diversify, so I got another one. And I seem to be this kind of serial Twitter account creator. I don't ask me how many Twitter accounts I've got, but it's a lot. Although I only really use 2 or 3 of them on a regular basis.
Okay, well, I'll try another semi-related question, which is how many social networks are you actively on at the moment?
Oh, good question. Well, definitely actively 2 or 3, but on a regular basis, I will use 5 or 6. So it's, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus. I do like Google Plus, although I don't get on there very often these days, and Pinterest and LinkedIn.
I see that Google Plus launched or relaunched a little bit over the last week or two, and enhancing their community section, I believe, as well. And there's one other part of it as well that they're focusing on. Did that turn your head a little bit more towards what they're doing, or is that not really a priority network for you at the moment?
I love Google Plus because it is where a lot of people in the marketing industry hang out, and it's really where the fantastic conversations can happen. There's some amazing people there, and I find that if I'm having a conversation on Twitter, quite often I will then take it over to Google Plus and have a deeper level conversation on Google Plus. But the problem has been that there's just not been the same take up on Google Plus as there have been on other platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So it just takes a bit more effort in my mind to kind of remember to go to Google Plus. And every time I do, I realize, why didn't I do it before? Because I do get a lot of interactions. I got a lot of engagement on Google Plus, but it always seems yet another network to have to bother with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's intriguing. You actually seem to use it differently than other networks. You appear to have a higher quality of conversation there. So I mean, would you say that you treat every network differently? I mean, how would you treat, say, Facebook compared with Google Plus?
Oh yeah, definitely. I will treat every network differently because the audience that your followers or fans or whatever the word is will use for each network is going to be different. The mechanism's different. Obviously, Twitter famously has 140 characters, so there's a limitation to what you can do there, but you can embed images, even sound clips and video clips. Now, Facebook is very different, and even the mechanisms such as hashtags work on most platforms, but not on LinkedIn. So there used to be, in the kind of bad old days, when I was starting on social media and messing around with all these things, I thought it was a great idea to, cross post to all the networks at one time. This would save a lot of time. I would cross post to Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of people were doing that. And then I realized that was really stupid because every network is different, and it just looks spammy. If I put a tweet on Facebook or LinkedIn, it just doesn't work certainly to me, it doesn't.
No, I completely agree with that. The thing is, though, prior to social media, I mean, the social media really started to hit in about 2007 or so from a marketing perspective. And prior to that, internet marketers were into RSS. And I believe that marketers viewed social media as another syndication opportunity rather than actually a real community building opportunity. Is that the way that you feel as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a big RSS fan. I mean, I hate to admit it, but it's an old technology, but it's still being used very much today. We might not know, or a lot of people might not know what RSS is, and I still use RSS to connect to certain networks. It only really makes sense with Twitter, but as long as you don't just become a one-way communication machine and just let it to run its course, you do need to then engage with people as well. So I think with all these, I mean, I know we're going to talk about tools a lot today, but I think with all these tools, you need to keep your brain switched on, and make sure that you are treating people as human beings, and treating your Twitter account not like an automation tool.
And that kind of brings me to the number of people that you follow on Twitter and how you manage that, because you follow 40,000 people on Twitter. So how do you actually manage to keep it personal and follow that number of people then?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, where do I start with that? Because it is incredibly important to keep that human interaction. So this is where the power of Twitter lists comes into play.
Right.
I follow a lot of people because there's a number of things. I don't follow everyone back who follows me. But I do follow a lot of people back because I don't want to kind of close the door on, situations and relationships. So I will follow a lot of people back. But when I get to my Twitter stream, it is an absolute nightmare. It's just, there's so much there. But occasionally I will see a really great tweet. I will see a good conversation going on. And when that happens, I will then move that person over to one of my Twitter lists. So I've got two main Twitter lists. I've got a local list. Those are all the people that are in my area that I want to engage with. And I've also got, I think I call it my Seriously Social Awesome. Sorry, it sounds very cheesy, but that's my other Twitter list. And that's with all the people that I really don't want to miss. I want to make sure that I'm following everything that they say. And they're the two main lists that I go to. So I see all the tweets from those people on a regular basis. And then if I want to zoom out and see everyone, then I can do that. So I think it's the best of both worlds doing that. And it means that, I don't do this on an aggressive manner, but the more people I follow, the more people will follow me back. And it's been part of the reason why I've been able to build up quite a big follower base. Not that number of followers is everything, but it's certainly, I think it can be a positive thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I've wrestled with that as well. At the moment, I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm following just over 200 people. Maybe I've got about 1,500 people following me. So obviously nowhere near yourself, but happy enough with that at the moment. And you never know, my strategy might change at some point in the future, but we'll see.
Well, there's no right or wrong, and you've got to do what you feel comfortable with. I've set up a system that works for me. Inevitably, there is a lot of noise, but Twitter lists and using a few different tools helps me keep cutting through that noise and listening into those conversations that I really want to listen to.
One other thing you link to from your Twitter profile is Vine, actually, and you've created loads of Vine videos as well. Is that just for fun, or is that just a serious business thing?
Well, that's bizarre. I just recently, when I went back to Twitter, it asked me if I wanted to connect my Vine profile to Twitter. So I thought, oh, well, why not? Let's do that. And I can't believe, I don't use Vine really at all these days. I think I used it when it came out and I messed around with it a few times. And I can't remember on my Twitter profile, but it says that there's loads of loops. A lot of people have viewed those over time. So I think it's probably because I was an early adopter and people have watch my Vines because they're not that amazing.
That's not something I've ever got into. Is it just for personal fun though? You haven't actually done it for a business perspective, really?
Well, not really. I mean, maybe kind of. I've done it a little bit when I've gone to social media conferences. I've taken a few little silly little snippets, whatever the word is. Vinelets. So yeah, I've done that a few times. But yeah, this is an interesting one, isn't it? I think I'm going to use a big word now. Is it juxtaposition between personal life and business life? And because I work with my dad, there's just two of us, and there is this blurring between what I do as a business and what I want to express as a human being. And this is interesting when we look at the different networks. So Twitter is very much, whatever's going, business, personal. Facebook is more personal, in my opinion, but I do share some business stuff on there. My Facebook page is purely business. LinkedIn is purely business. But there's a blurring of the line sometimes on these networks, and it's I don't think all of us get it right, and maybe there is no right or wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to change all the time, and of course, social networks bring out different services as time goes by as well. I mean, to begin with, Facebook obviously just had the profile, and everyone was using the profile for business purposes, and then brought out pages a couple of years later, and then everyone thought, okay, we have to be here. And then what's your thoughts on the reduction of organic reach to pages? Are pages still worthwhile focusing on?
Depends on your business, but yeah, I think they are, purely because the Facebook advertising system is so powerful once you get your head around it. Right. And that's the key, because so many businesses are going on there, they're probably clicking on the boost post button and then seeing they're not getting any results. But once you get your head around it, and once you're using it powerfully, it can be amazing. But yeah, it is a bit depressing, I'll be honest. Because I mean, it used to be, what was it, about 20% reach it used to be, and now it's kind of getting down to the 4s and the 5%. But ultimately, Facebook is wanting to deliver quality content that people are interested in. So, I think a lot of page owners are failing in creating content that people are interested in. And also there is this, this whole content shock concept, which is what Mark Schaefer coined the word a couple of years ago, I think now, where there is just so much content. And I've noticed this on comments on my blog. I'm getting less comments than I used to do, because there's just so much content being delivered that people are just thinking, oh, I can't cope, which is a real challenge for us marketers.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing even more spam now with comments on blogs as well. I've actually turned my comments off for anything that's older than 14 days now. So I'm testing that.
Well, that's interesting. Well, you see, I would struggle with that, because I think about most of my traffic goes to my evergreen content. There's an article I wrote 4 years ago, and it gets 10,000 unique views per month. Right. And I treat my comments as a kind of a community, really. There's still people commenting today, some really quite good comments. But keeping on top of spam is a huge problem. I did discover a plugin, and I've forgotten what it's called. It'll come back to me. I think it's WP Spam Shield. Right. And I use that in conjunction with Akismet, and it's pretty much got rid of all my spam.
Okay.
So I hardly get any of that now.
There was one that I was using that obviously wasn't working that well, so maybe I need to revisit that possibly. But social media management for small business owners, actually, is it enough for small business owners to actually be managing their social media directly via the native apps and the native dashboards? Or do you think it's necessary for really any size of business to be using third-party tools to manage their social media effectively?
That's a good question. I think to begin with, it is probably okay to start natively posting, because particularly with Facebook, because there are some things that you can't do on a social media management tool, such as mentioning other pages, for example. Although I think it can be done on there are a few workarounds when it comes to that. But getting your head around how the platforms work natively, I think, is a good place to start. But once you start to build up more engagement, it becomes more difficult to manage, particularly if you've got a presence on more than one network. So if you're on Facebook and Twitter, toggling between the two can be difficult. So using a tool certainly enables me to get through all my mentions or my comments very, very quickly, and I can monitor what is happening, what the conversations are on a day-by-day basis. Can I do that natively? Yes. But what I'm really looking for, and what I think a lot of businesses are looking for, are ways to enhance your productivity and being more efficient, because we're spending a huge amount of time on social media, and ultimately, are we getting the returns on that? And I think social media management tools can help in that process.
So would your recommendation in terms of the tool used change quite significantly depending on the size of the business, that small business versus a big business?
I think so, because I mean, really, there's no one perfect tool. I'm afraid to say, there is. I think we all want this. I mean, I kind of joke about it being the one tool that rules them all. We're wanting this tool that does absolutely everything. And I think all the tool vendors are trying to say, yeah, our tool does everything. Come to us. Hootsuite in particular tries to be that. I've got nothing against Hootsuite, but it does try and do everything. And for some people, some businesses, Hootsuite will be a perfect fit. For others, it won't be. And so it's really a case of looking and checking to see what your priorities are and whether the tool fits the bill.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same across a few industries, and especially at the corporate level. You've got other tools such as marketing automation tools that try and cover absolutely everything. But if you really compare and contrast what they can do, you can probably get a better job done by knitting different tools together. But obviously that involves some technical know-how and understanding of marketing at a very deep level. So it's tough for people to make a decision in terms of software.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, thankfully for me, I actually enjoy looking at all these. I think a lot of people think, oh, please no. But I do enjoy it, looking at what all the different tools do and trying to find a system that works for me. I also find it interesting looking at people's businesses and seeing, let's look at your business and how you work, and what are the best tools that we can use to help you in your business. So yeah, it is a tricky one. And I think try and look at what it is that you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to achieve, and then let's look at what tools are going to help you with that. That's how I would tackle it.
And in terms of posting style, I think you mentioned the word authentic. Now, what would you say are some of the common mistakes that you see at the moment in terms of posting style, perhaps frequency and tone used in the different social networks at the moment?
Oh, that's tricky. I mean, I think things have kind of improved over the past few years, or maybe they haven't. Maybe I'm just seeing. Maybe the people I'm following are kind of learning.
You create your own world, don't you?
I think you do. Well, I'll tell you one thing that really annoys me or really frustrates me. But before I say that, I will say that initially I did this. So when I say it's annoying, we all learn from our mistakes. But that is on Twitter, the automated direct message.
Mm-hmm.
And when I joined Twitter, and there were all these apps that were being developed, because Twitter was very much at the beginning was an open platform, and developers could create these really cool apps that did stuff. So there was a way that you could, when someone followed you, you could send them a direct message that said, "Thank you for following me. Check out my Facebook page." And it seemed like a really good idea because, you're saving time. But it was certainly, after maybe a couple of months of this happening, people just think, well, this is an automated message. You're not really interested in me. And since then, some research showed that if you employ this practice, you're unfollow rate is going to increase by over 200%. People are actually going to unfollow you because of this automated message.
Yeah.
On a daily basis, I get probably dozens of these, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really counted. I actually wrote a spam filter. This is the web developer in me. I actually wrote a spam filter for Twitter to delete these automated messages because it was doing my head in. Because it basically meant that my inbox on Twitter became unusable. It was just all these direct messages. So I think that is one. It's when you start to automate engagement, I think that's where the problem arises. Automation is great, but when you start to kind of automate the engagement and the relationships, it's just obvious, and it just doesn't. It shows that you don't really care, or it gives that impression.
So I guess that's probably one of the main challenges of following so many people, because obviously you're giving them the right to direct message you.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, yeah, for me, that's definitely a downer. But yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm following these people who are. So somebody follows me back, I check them out. They're in the marketing industry, or they're interested in something similar to me. They look interesting. I follow them, and then 5 minutes later, thank you for following me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So yeah, it's potentially because I'm being in marketing, I get a lot of that.
I tell you what frustrates me as well, actually, for LinkedIn, because I've got I think nearly for about 5,000 contacts on LinkedIn, and if I accept someone, if someone looks interesting, then I'll accept them. But if the first message that I get from them will be, "Thanks for connecting. This is what I do," and that's all I get from them. Nothing to do with just forming a relationship. First of all, I'll unconnect there, or whatever the setting is. Did you have that kind of issue as well with LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, I mean, LinkedIn really don't make they kind of create a lot of the problems, because when you sign up for LinkedIn, the first thing that they ask you to do is to send connection requests to everyone in your address book, and you haven't even created your profile yet. I mean, it's silly. And then you send out all these automated bulk connection requests, which are unpersonalized. They don't really show don't really kind of demonstrate that you're interested in these people. So that's the first problem. But yeah, I mean, then you get these kind of salesy automated LinkedIn messages afterwards, and LinkedIn's there are some huge problems on LinkedIn. We're getting inappropriate photos on LinkedIn. I mean, I haven't received these, but I know some people that are getting some dodgy imagery on LinkedIn now, and so it's an interesting one. It seems that there's potentially a problem that LinkedIn needs to sort out.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's kind of segue into the second section of our discussions. That focuses more on your thoughts on where digital marketing's been, where it's going, and hopefully getting some specific software recommendations from you. So, starting off with
software I couldn't live without.
So, what software do you currently use in your own business that if someone took away from you, it would significantly impact your marketing success?
This is a really hard one, because I could give you a massive long list. I mean, there's tools such as Gmail. I recently migrated everything over to Gmail, and I know that's taken me ages, but Gmail definitely, and WordPress. So my blog is hosted with or uses WordPress. So I love WordPress. So those, but in particular, Gmail and WordPress would be ones that I could not live without. But there's a few other ones I wanted to mention, such as IFT or IFTTT,
sure,
which is an automation tool that enables you to connect more than one tool together or network together. And I've got quite a few systems in place that if you were to take IFT from me, I would cry, because it really solves a lot of problems and time, really. Have
you tried Zapier as well?
Yeah, I actually have Zapier as well.
Okay.
But I was a bit reluctant because you have to pay for it. Right. Well, you don't have to pay for it, but in order to kind of get much use out of it. But Zapier is great. It's kind of, I mean, I assume you use it. Is that?
Yeah, I've used it a bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's kind of like if IFT blows your mind, then Zapier really will.
Yeah, it's just tying all the APIs together from different providers.
Yeah, it is great, and it is mind-boggling. I mean, one of the things about IFT I like is that they give you all the recipes. You can see what other people have created, and that's the way my mind works. I like to see how other people have created stuff, and then I think, oh, okay, that's a really good idea. Let's tweak that. And so yeah, I use IFT and Zapier with two other tools, Feedly and Buffer. And Feedly is how I consume all the content, and it's how I keep up to date with what's happening in social media marketing. So it's basically what replaced Google Reader. It's an RSS reader, or it's just a feed reader, that you can keep up to date with things. And I connect that with Buffer. So whenever I see an article that I'm interested in, I will then add that to Buffer, which will schedule that out to Twitter. So I'm able to share content that I find really interesting with my followers on Twitter, and I find that useful.
And is that just the free version of Buffer you're using, or is that the paid version?
I do the paid one because it's only 10. Well, all these add up. That's the problem. But $10 a month for what do they call it? The Awesome plan, I think, and that also integrates with Pinterest as well, which is great.
Okay.
So, and there is one other. Am I allowed one more tool?
Yes, go for it. Go for it.
And my recent convert we were talking about social media management tools. The one that I use is Agora Pulse. So I've used quite a few of the others. A social media management tool for me does do scheduling, engagement, monitoring. It does all of these things, and Agora Pulse does all of those things really. But I use that particularly for engaging with or responding to all my mentions and comments. And I can go through them very, very quickly. It treats them like an inbox. So as soon as I respond to a tweet or a comment on Facebook, they disappear from view. So I can go through all my comments and get that kind of nice inbox zero feeling very quickly, which is great. Saves me a lot of time.
Okay, great. And if listeners can go back to episode 125 of Digital Marketing Radio and listen to an interview with Emmerich Erno. He's the founder of Agora Pulse, of course. So that was a good discussion I had. But here's a slightly more challenging question. So what piece of software don't you use, but you've heard good things about and you intend to try at some point in the near future?
Yes, this is a difficult one. Okay. Well, I need to do something about my mailing list. I have to say, I've not been great. I've been okay, and I've been building that over time, but I need to get more professional with my mailing list. And I've been using MailChimp for years. It's absolutely fine. I've got nothing against it. It does a lot of good stuff, but I think I need to move to the next level. And I'm still not sure, but I'm kind of maybe deciding between ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign. I'm thinking of going towards ActiveCampaign, but I haven't tried it yet. It's obviously a lot more complicated. But I keep hearing good things about both of those.
You can get a free demo of ActiveCampaign, so that might be worthwhile trying out. There's a couple of people, including Emmerich actually, that said in terms of software he was thinking of moving to. He mentioned ActiveCampaign as well. So
I'll have to have a chat with him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to sway you. But let's move on to.
I wish I would have.
So I'd like you to look back on the very first day that you're involved in trying to market a business online. What didn't you do so well? What do you wish that you would have done differently?
Well, I have to say, when I started my business, I didn't want to admit this, but I treated it really as a bit of a hobby. It was a bit of fun. And I think it took me a long time to realize that, and a long time to realize that I needed to turn professional. I needed to focus completely on that. And so I did say earlier that I trained as a professional singer. I was doing that. I was also teaching singing, but that was bringing in some money, but I wasn't able to focus completely on my business, on my agency, on my marketing side of the business, because I was enjoying the singing side as well. So it wasn't really until I had to make the decision, look, in order to make this work, in order to make my business successful, I've got to focus totally on that. So I had to make the difficult decision to stop pretty much all the rest of what I was doing and focus totally on that. The problem is I enjoy the comfy chair. And I think the comfy chair, as Monty Python kind of said, it is a bit of an instrument of torture. I think it slowly robs you of your focus. And so that's really what I'd say, that I wish I have got out of my comfy chair and focused on my business earlier on. But this last year or so, joining a couple of masterminds, going to these conferences that I've been part of, have completely changed that. And I definitely would recommend people do that.
Okay, well, I mean, you certainly brought it back to the present there. And in relation to that, what marketing activity is actually working best for you at the moment?
Well, yeah, it is those relationships that I built. I mean, I was wanting to go to social media marketing world for years and years and years. Well, it's only been ongoing for 3 years, but when it came out, when it started, I wanted to go, but it was in San Diego. I live in the UK. That's a long way away. Yeah. It's expensive. And I kept on thinking of all the reasons why it wasn't a good idea. And then I just said, right, enough's enough. I'm going to go. And that was the best decision. It was a long way away. So, but I met all the people that I knew online that I built relationships with digitally, I suppose, and I met them in person. And from that, so many amazing things have happened in terms of moving my business forward. So I think that's not forgetting the fact that I did so much hard work before that, building these relationships over the years and years and years, but actually meeting them in person really changed things for me. So I think actually, although I'm very much into social media tools and the digital side of things, actually meeting people in person has really changed things for me.
Interesting. And I suppose the fact that you had to fly over there and spend a lot more money than someone from California would have to spend to go there probably made you use every single minute of your time as productively as you possibly could when you went over there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't like spending money, but but yeah, when you do, it really does make sure that you're not wasting your time, and it gets you out of that comfy chair again. So yeah.
Okay, well, moving on to
the this or that round.
So this is the quick response round. 10 quick questions, just 2 rules here. Try not to think about the answer too much, and you're only allowed to say the word both on one occasion.
Okay.
Email or Twitter?
Email.
Audio or video?
Audio.
Affiliate or display advertising?
Affiliate.
Facebook or Google+?
Facebook.
Online press releases or one-on-one relations?
One-on-one relations.
Paid search or SEO?
SEO.
Email contact form or telephone number?
Email contact form.
Website or app?
Website.
Social subscriber or email subscriber?
Email subscriber.
And local marketing or global marketing?
Global marketing.
You had your both. You could have used that in the.
I forgot I was allowed to say both. I mean, the Facebook Google Plus one was the difficult because I meant to say both for that. So
that was the biggest struggle. Yes, yeah. Most people are just so definitive. Facebook, apart from Martin Sheverington, but
well, that's different, isn't it? But yeah, I have. Oh, I don't know. I have a kind of place in my heart for Google Plus. It's a lovely place, but it's just. Will
it be a lovely place in 2 years' time, do you think?
I hope so. Well, people like Martin Sheverington are there. So, I mean, although he's kind of on Facebook a little bit now, he's kind of diversifying. So we'll see. But yeah, I still go to Google Plus, and I still have a lot of love for it. And there's still all these conversations going on there. So I will still go back.
The $10,000 question.
So if I was to give you $10,000 and you had to spend it over the next few days on a single thing to grow your business, what would you spend it on, and how would you measure success?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I want to do everything myself, and that is a problem. So I need to go down probably the virtual assistant route. I need to get structures and systems in place, and that's going to take resources. That's going to take time in order to then be able to get a VA to help me with these things. So things like resources, assets, and doing all the kind of things that I'm doing myself, which I probably shouldn't be doing on a day-by-day basis.
A wise investment. You should give Chris Ducker a shout.
I will. We're reading his book. It's been great.
I've got to get onto that. I've interviewed him a couple of times. I should have read his book already, but
Chris, it's time. You need to get a virtual assistant to read the book for you.
That's a good thought. Yes.
My number one takeaway.
Well, Ian, you've offered so much great advice in the conversation, but what's the number one takeaway? What's the single most important step that our listeners need to take away and implement in their businesses?
I've kind of covered this already, but I'm really into tools. Tools are fantastic. They can save you so much time. They can solve problems, but they're not going to solve all your problems. And ultimately, relationships are key. So when you get behind your computer or your smartphone, don't forget the relationships, because build those relationships, those strong relationships, because you never know what's going to happen. And if it possible, try and meet them in person, these people that you've met. So go to conferences, create situations where you can meet these people in face-to-face.
Yeah, wonderful advice. Well, that takes us to the end of our discussion today. So thank you so much for your time, your advice. What's the best way for our audience to find out more about you and what you do?
Yeah, well, you can go to my website, which is iag.me, and Twitter is probably the quickest and easiest way to get in contact. So that's just iag.me, iag.me.
Great stuff. Well, thanks to Ian, and thank you, dear listener, too. So if you enjoyed what Ian shared today, here's how you can help. Go to your friend's iPhone and go to the podcast app and search for Digital Marketing Radio. Click on the show and then hit the subscribe button and make them listen too. Finally, I'm also hosting another live show every Friday called This Week in Organic. So head over to thisweekinorganic.com to find out more about that. But that's all for now. Until we meet again, adios, and thanks again, Ian. Great show.
Thank you.